Star Trek. Strange New Worlds gives Kirk a surprising encounter with Khan. Few names in Star Trek carry as much mythic weight as Khan Noonan Singh. For Captain James T. Kirk, Khan isn't just an enemy. He's destiny, vengeance, and tragedy wrapped into one unforgettable rivalry. For decades, canon insisted that Kirk first met Khan aboard the USS Enterprise in Star Trek, the original series episode Space Seed, where the eugenics war's tyrant emerged from cryogenic sleep and immediately tested Kirk's ideals, ego, and command instincts. Star Trek. Strange New Worlds, however, has found a clever, emotionally charged way to give Kirk a surprising encounter with Khan, one that both honors continuity and deepens Kirk's legacy long before their official meeting. The brilliance of Strange New Worlds lies in how it understands Star Trek history not as a rigid timeline, but as a living conversation with the past. When the series introduces a young Lieutenant James T. Kirk, it doesn't rush him into the familiar trappings of the captain fans know so well. Instead, Kirk is portrayed as thoughtful, observant, and still forming the instincts that will one day define him. By letting Kirk brush up against Khan's influence without fully realizing it, Strange New Worlds adds a layer of dramatic irony that longtime fans can immediately appreciate. Rather than staging a direct, face-to-face confrontation that would shatter canon, the show opts for something far more interesting. Kirk encounters the consequences of Khan before he ever meets the man. This version of Khan exists in the shadows, a looming presence whose legacy of genetic engineering, authoritarian control, and ruthless logic ripples outward through history. Kirk doesn't trade speeches with Khan or cross fists with him, but he feels Khan's impact in ways that subtly shape his worldview. What makes this encounter so effective is how personal it becomes for Kirk. Strange New Worlds frames Khan not merely as a villain of the week, but as a philosophical threat. Kirk is forced to confront questions about power, superiority, and the danger of believing that some people are inherently fit to rule others. These are ideas Khan embodies absolutely, and Kirk's early exposure to them plants the seeds for the moral certainty he will later wield against Khan in Space Seed. In Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, this approach also reframes Khan as more than just Kirk's nemesis. In Strange New Worlds, Khan is positioned as a historical wound that Starfleet is still reckoning with. The trauma of the eugenics wars isn't neatly filed away. It's a cautionary tale that continues to influence policy, ethics, and command decisions. By placing Kirk in proximity to this legacy, the show quietly establishes why Khan's reappearance decades later hits Kirk so hard. He's not just meeting an old enemy. He's facing the embodiment of a threat Starfleet thought it had buried. There's also something deeply Strange New Worlds about the restraint shown here. Modern franchise storytelling often leans into spectacle and nostalgia, but this episode trusts the audience. It understands that the most powerful connection between Kirk and Khan doesn't require a shouted name or a dramatic reveal. Instead, it lives in implication, in the audience's awareness that Kirk is unknowingly circling a future nightmare. That dramatic irony adds tension to every choice Kirk makes, even when he doesn't yet know why those choices matter. Perhaps most importantly, this surprising encounter strengthens Kirk as a character rather than overshadowing him. Khan doesn't dominate the narrative. Kirk does. The experience sharpens Kirk's skepticism of absolute authority and reinforces his belief in individual freedom, values that will later define his legendary command of the Enterprise. When Kirk eventually meets Khan face to face, it won't be a random clash of titans. It will feel inevitable. In giving Kirk a brush with Khan's shadow instead of the man himself, Star Trek. Strange New Worlds proves once again that it understands what makes Star Trek endure. It's not just about revisiting iconic characters, but about finding new emotional truths within familiar stories. Kirk's surprising encounter with Khan doesn't rewrite history, it deepens it, ensuring that when destiny finally calls, both men are exactly where they need to be.